So looking at how to be successful, I apologize, I got a phone call during that first video. I kind of threw things for a loop, but we'll get through it. So how am I supposed to be successful? Successful means being flexible during this time. We can't think about it as a clock in, clock out job anymore, meaning I'm going to start at 9 o'clock and I'm going to end at 5. That's just simply not realistic. There may be a gap in your day. It may be something kind of like a split shift for you, those of you that have ever worked it, where you start and stop in the middle of the day. That could happen multiple times. It could mean that as a staff, to make it work, you end up working on a Saturday, and that you make a couple calls on those days. We have to think about this very differently, and I know that can be tedious, that can be frustrating, that can even make you angry because you're like, Mike, what about my time? And I understand that, and we're going to talk a little bit about some self-care in a little bit, but one of the things we need to understand and be grateful for right now is that we still have a job. A lot of places have shut down, will shut down. We're going to continue to hear about that as this continues to grow and this pandemic continues to evolve. So we need to be focused on that, and we need to be focused on, all right, as me as an individual, what do I need to do to make sure that I stay employed? And the center has kind of defined that for us, and that 65% of our time needs to be billable time, right? So that's what we need to be focused on. And we can't have a bunch of administrative time. We've got to be very mindful of that. We know that in a 40-hour week, I need 26 hours of billable time. I can have 14 administrative. But what does that look like during my week? I know for me personally, I wouldn't put my administrative time up front. I would want to front load my week with all of my clients. I would want to be touching base. I would want to be experimenting during this time. What does it look like for me to have 2 30-minute sessions a day if I usually spend an hour with a client? What does it look like if I have 2 30-minute sessions? What does it look like if I have an hour session and then 2 30-minute sessions? What does it look like if I have more frequent sessions during the week, where I'm checking in and doing shorter sessions, but maybe they happen daily? So if I saw a client for 2 hours, but it was only one time a week, what does it look like if I check in with them 4 times a week for 30 minutes? I think we really have to be flexible during this time and trying to figure out what works. And then communicating to your supervisor and to your teammates that, hey, I really did this, and this seemed to work really well. Being creative. If there's stuff on YouTube that, like, you're on the phone with a client, maybe you're on a video call, but if there's something on YouTube that you're like, oh man, that was awesome, or that could really help my client, watch that with your client. Be on the phone. Listen to their reaction. Process that with them. Things can just be different. I even heard about gaming solutions. If you're a gaming person, obviously you've got to think about the client and what tools they have. But let's just throw out Minecraft. If they've got Minecraft and you can build and you can do these things with them through this virtual environment, that's okay right now. It's different. It's unique. We have to be able to process things. If you have ideas and you're worried about it and you want to process it, reach out to your SCL, reach out to Sean or I. There's things that we can do. And then keep track of things that were really successful. If YouTube was a great hit and worked really well with your clients, keep track of that. Keep track of some of the videos you used. And that's some of the stuff that Dan Carey's asking you for in that little contest that he's doing with Quality. But I think there's unique things, and to be honest, as a 33-year-old guy who doesn't play video games and stuff, like, I'm sure there's other things out there. Now, I would be careful with things like Halo and Grand Theft Auto. Those don't seem like appropriate games for a clinical setting. So maybe think of some different things for that. If a client cancels, I think this is one of the big things. My daughter's sneaking around the corner, so I keep looking at her. But if your client cancels, try and call the next client. If you can't get anybody, clock out for an hour, throw in a load of laundry, sit down, watch a TV show, be flexible with your schedule, because you're gonna have to be. The last thing I want to wrap up with, I know I started with this, but Bowen is an extremely healthy organization. We've got currently 130 days cash on hand, which means that's the cash that we have. We can operate the company as is for 130 days, no problems, 4 months. And that's with bringing no money in. We're still bringing money in. I was very encouraged. One of the calls I was on, they were still talking about all of our incentives, bonuses. None of that stuff has been taken off the table. But that also depends on how we do during this time. So we need to make sure that we're working hard, that we're meeting the goals we need to, and that we're seeing our clients. Our patients need us. I can't stress that enough. And I think we can be really cool right now. We can do some unique things. We can change quality. We can impact quality because we can meet clients literally where they're at in their phase of life, right on the phone. So that's something great that we can do. So yeah. And then the other thing, our leadership team's willing to help. I mean, we have all been pitching in. I know Sean and I have been extremely focused on the therapist the last couple days, but we'll do anything that we can to help. The last thing I want to talk about is the Bowen Village program. Amber is currently running that, and if you've got a personal need, something's come up in your life, maybe your spouse is laid off and there's problems with bills or whatnot, reach out to Amber Hunsberger. She's part of that Bowen Village program, and she's there to help and get you connected to resources. So, sorry, I know I said the last thing, but I got one more. I sent something out about helping out our local food pantry. I would love to be able to get all those donations in by Friday, and then I can orchestrate with the food pantry for next Monday and drop off a check to them to make sure that they're getting what they need, because they're going to be helping a lot of people during this time. I'm sorry if this last little bit was difficult to hear because of Maddie. Maddie, can you say hi? Say hi. Say bye-bye. We said bye-bye. Say bye-bye.